Now the last two questions on the first page of this wizard talk about allowing inbound traffic. By default, all inbound internet traffic is blocked. So there will be no open ports between the internet and this machine by default. Let's say I know that I want to connect to this machine using RDP. So I can allow RDP connections into this box. Now I also might know I want to turn this into a web server, and so I can open up the HTTP and HTTPS ports in anticipation of turning it into a web server. If this was a Linux machine, you would want to open up the SSH port because you would use an SSH tool to connect to a Linux machine. So I am going to open up 3 ports. Now, of course, this is a security concern. You do not want RDP to be open to the internet forever. You'll want to open it up until you need to use it, log into it, etc. And then you want to either shut it down, close the port, or restrict it to only your computer and only your corporate network. So putting on some intelligent blocks on RDP access makes great sense. We already talked about saving money with a Windows license that already exists. We don't have one, so we're going to skip that. Now remember, this virtual machine comes with up to 2 temporary disk storage, essentially, 2 data disks. And so this is where you would create a data disk if you wanted it. Okay, so up to 2. There is a temporary storage that already comes with it, and you're going to get it as a flash SSD drive. And that's what you're going to get for the temporary disk. Now, we are not going to talk about virtual networks in this lesson. It's not a focus of the test, to be honest, either. So this is going to create a brand new virtual network, put it onto the default subnet. It's going to create a brand new public IP address. I'm going to open up those ports I already selected. The security group settings are going to be basic. We're not going to get any advanced security settings on this. If you needed your computers to speak with each other at an accelerated rate, then you would have accelerated networking on, although I'm choosing B1MS and it doesn't support accelerated networking. We can put this into a load balancer right now. We don't have a load balancer to put that into. I'm going to turn off diagnostics. This is where you get logging from your machine. But I do want to turn on auto shutdown. I'm notorious for creating virtual machines for testing purposes and then not coming back to that for a couple of days, and then finding that I've incurred $10 or $20 in charge. So whenever I create a virtual machine, I always try to have this as an auto shutdown. So at 7 p.m. every day, this machine will shut down, and I put this in Eastern time zone. Now, do I need the machine to have a notification pop up to say that it's going to be shut down? In this case, no. But to me, this is charges that you don't need to incur. This is one way to protect against that. We won't turn on any backups or anything like that at this point. Now, the last page of this wizard is the review screen. This is where we can see we're agreeing to a 3.85 cents per hour charge. This is the review of all of the settings. We can certainly go through here. Now I could just go click create, and in about 10 minutes I'll have a virtual machine running. Another option is to download this settings as a template for automation. So Microsoft has things called ARM templates that are JSON files that I could either store within Azure. There's a template manager, or I can download to my machine. And so all of the choices that I've made will be retained, and then I can create virtual machines again and again and again from this template instead of having to remember all these settings and go through that laborious work. So if I did want to start up the process of automation, this is where I go for that. But I'm just going to click create. Let this deploy. It takes a couple minutes, and we'll come back and we'll see our virtual machine running.